Hi everybody, Paul Seibert, aka Beholding Eye, here for a brand new segment we call Breaking Down the Shot. Now I'm here on the cliffs of the Palisades back home in New Jersey, but if you remember last week, myself and Parker Burkett were touring the Northeast for some of the most spectacular vistas, views, and fall foliage. Today we're going to be talking about my shot from Watkins Glen State Park. So let's get into it, shall we? As you can see, I went with the long exposure approach to smooth out the water, to give it almost that milky texture to it, as opposed to a fast shutter speed where you capture the texture of the water. Now the reason why I shot a long exposure was that the water flow was so low that if I hadn't shot at a long exposure and decided to shoot with a shorter shutter speed, you might not actually at that focal length even see the water movement at all. Now, let's get into the hows and the whys of this shot. The question is, should I use a filter or should I not use a filter? Now when you use a neutral density filter, what happens is you're placing a piece of tinted glass in front of the lens, which is blocking some of the light, which means that in order for you to get a proper exposure, you have to shoot longer in order for you to get the same exposure as you would without. I was able to get the shot without using a neutral density filter. Because we were coming towards the end of the day, the light was already darker, and as we were in a gorge, we weren't getting as much light as we normally would during the middle part of the day. With that being said, I was able to shoot at f/16 and get the proper length of time to smooth out the water without having to use a neutral density filter. A question I'm often asked is, what lens should I use for shooting waterfalls? Now, as each waterfall and each shooting experience is different, so should your choice of lenses. For this particular shot at Watkins Glen, this is more of a scene. There's a bridge, there's a walkway, there's stairs, there's this trickling water coming down, landing in pools. So what I chose to use for this shot was the RF 15-35 lens. Now other waterfalls and other concepts require different lenses. Now say for instance you're shooting travel photography. Travel photographers more often than not will insert either themselves or another person into the frame to inspire their viewers that this could be them. In this case, you would shoot either a telephoto zoom lens, say a 70-200, to show the subject being surrounded by water. Another way would be to shoot a medium zoom lens like a 24-70 to not only capture the scene, but to effectively show scale and size of the person compared to the waterfall. Now, my Canon family, I want to talk about the difference between capturing beauty and witnessing the beauty. Far too often we go to these incredible places and we're far too caught up in getting the shot, capturing it perfectly, that we come away and we realize after the fact that I didn't even take a moment to myself to be able to soak it all in, enjoy myself, have a moment in this place that just belongs to me and me alone. So with that being said, go out, capture the beauty, take it with you, and inspire others. Thanks so much for coming along with us on this trip this past week. We had such a great time, and we thank you for your participation. The sheer fact that we didn't know where we were going until the morning was so exciting for us, and we hope it was for you too. And we can't wait to take you on our next adventure with Canon.